Oh, Allegra Stratton, very true, actually. I forgot about that one. But I guess that's all kind of wrapped up in Partygate, isn't it? Again, I love how Allegra Stratton, I've mentioned her name on stream before, but Allegra Stratton was she originally belongs to ITV. She was a journalist for ITV. She was a Westminster correspondent as well, I believe, Allegra Stratton. And then she just became a number 10 press secretary. I was just like, you tell me there's no incestuous link between the government and the media in this country? She's married to fucking James Forsyth! He's the editor of The Spectator, political secretary to Rishi Sunak, was best man at Sunak's fucking wedding, and that's who Allegra Stratton is married to, whilst pretending to be an impartial journalist at both Newsnight and ITV. I hate this country so much. If we're going to go down this road, then I have to start talking about Sebastian Payne. Now, this guy has won a bunch of journalism awards. They turned the online journosphere. They fucking love this guy as well. He's got big plaudits as someone who is a journalist, right? So let me have a look. Let you have a look at his actual Twitter account. He's now the director at such a tender young age of UK Onward, which calls itself "We develop a bold and practical ideas for the next generation of centre-right thinkers and leaders." They are explicitly aligned to the Conservative Party. I think it was set up by Daniel Finkelstein. And as director of UK Onward, which he moved to when was it? Let me find out. It was back in December the 7th, 2022, having written for the Financial Times, having written for I believe it was the Spectator as well, if my sources are correct. Financial Times was named by the Evening Standard as one of the most influential journalists in London. The Evening Standard, which was being edited by previous Chancellor of the Exchequer, and friend of the stream, Mr. George Osborne, worked at the Telegraph and at the Spectator. So he's been around all of the houses, right? As somebody who is massively connected to the Conservative Party, he's gone all around all the different houses, all the different right-wing journalist outlets to pump out the manufacturing consent machine, make it go burr all of the time, over and over and over again. He is now, after all of this time, being appointed to this particular...
a communist.
Mesosphere Games, subscribe with Prime. Thank you for the contribution. Welcome to the No Justice stream. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the contribution. It is always much appreciated. So now at this UK Onward think tank, which is explicitly linked to the Conservative Party, set up by an ex-MP, which, amusingly, funnily enough, it has corporate partners with BAE Systems, British private equity. That's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit weird that someone who had previously been a journalist is just so happy to become the director of a think tank that is, at least to be fair to it, transparent enough to let us know that it's a corrupt piece of shit funded by the literal worst people basically on the planet, like literally BAE Systems. Which is amusing. Like, you can literally look when he announced initially that he was joining UK Onward. I post my revolving door GIF in response, because of course I would. And then everyone from every single part of the country, from every single sphere of journalism, Evan Davis, all these people, Aisha Hazarika, Francis Coppola, the only person apart from even Emily Maitlis, queen of the liberal journalist sphere, even she's very happy to see that he is moving on to be even more, not just manufacturing consent at the point of sale as a journalist, feeding the lies into the public, but also now he's going to be the person who commissions the studies for the think tanks paid for by the billionaires and the arms dealers, to make the propaganda that the journalists then use to be able to put their ideas to the public. So he is literally being every single part of the manufacturing consent machine, every single possible sphere that you could have, the links to the Conservative Party, the links to Westminster, the links to the journalism sphere, the links to the think tanks. It's all, every single part of the toxic, incestuous political and media culture of this country laid bare. Right? Laid completely bare by this person. I love the thing that he's now popular for as well is the book that he's writing about the fall of Boris Johnson. Let me find the post that he made about the fall of Boris Johnson, the book that he released, which, again, it just shows you the other thing that I absolutely despise about about media commentators in this country, about political commentators, in this country specifically is they treat the shit like a fucking game. They treat it like a game. Actually, is it his pinned tweet? It might be his pinned tweet. I'm just scrolling for no reason. No, it isn't. Let me Google it. I mean, just search. Obviously, I'm searching it, right? I need to do from to make sure it's from him. There we go. If you look at the quotes on the back of this, they all think it's the man who was in charge while hundreds of thousands of people died of the coronavirus because of his pathetic mismanaging of everything. The people who they managed to rot billions of pounds of public money from the system to be able to pay their friends making dodgy PPE that was had to burn. The man who said let the bodies pile high. The man who conspired to have a journalist beaten up. The man who thinks that gay men are tank top bum boys and who makes racist comments about people from Africa that he then refuses to apologise for. It's just a fun little romp. Look at this. Entertaining and illuminating fly-on-the-wall romp through Boris Johnson's final 9 months with a fly. Sebastian Payne must frequently have thought he was having on hallucinogens. Isn't all this political corruption hilarious? What a fun romp this must have been for members of the political and media establishment who don't have any. There is nothing. There is literal zero consequences these people ever feel from the worst machinations of the political elite in this country because they back these people up. Emily Maitlis, the person who consistently was critical of the populism that got Boris Johnson to the position that he's in, a timely reminder of the fine art of defenestration written by one of Fleet Street's most trusted insiders. Yeah, an insider, more like fucking inside the fucking inner ring, more like an insider so inside that he's literally part of the political establishment that he was supposed to be criticising at the time. He's supposed to be impartial about, he clearly has too many links to. Right? Remember when Corbyn didn't bow enough? When Corbyn was wearing the wrong tie? When Corbyn was a Czech informant during the Second World War? When Corbyn was photographed dancing a jig at the Cenotaph, which he wasn't actually dancing a jig at the Cenotaph. All this shit, they just paraded around the press. And this person who they put in this position, all of us who had to feel the shockwaves from the pathetic attempt of governance that he engaged in. And these people it's just funny for these people. It's just a laugh. It's just a game. It's just a fucking game to these media bellends. I was going to use the C word, but that would demonetize this video. I honestly, these people are the worst. These are the absolute worst people in the country, bar none. There is nobody lower than the UK journalism sphere. It's not close. It is not close in the slightest, right? Anyway, the reason why I was going to be bringing this about is because they just did a study saying that Labour should move rightward on social issues. Right-leaning onward claims Keir Starmer's party needs to appeal to more left authoritarians. What's amusing is that the way that he tweeted this out, right? The way that the people tweeted this out in the media. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, calling Corbyn a terrorist sympathiser, true. Let me find this one. Keir Starmer needs to nudge Labour rightward on social issues and tackle perception the party is weak and out of touch. Which got then spread in the media machine. Luckily, he got fucking ratioed in the quote tweets. They assumed that these people meant trans issues. Actually got explained in this article and in the data from the original study. There's nothing to do with anything. The social issue they cared about was law and order and crime, right? Which I can get. At least I can understand that. They seem to be too soft on crime a lot of the time. The polling involved asking all non-Labour voters about their main reasons for not supporting the party, with 24% agreeing with the reply, it represents the very woke and left wing, which again means nothing. It means literally nothing. Keir Starmer could get out and, what's the most right-wing thing a person could do? He could literally go and do a cosplay of the guy who committed the terrorist attack on the Dover migrant processing centre, and they still would think he would be far too woke. And that means nothing. Second most popular option of that was not competent, and saying not for people like me, I don't share its values. So I don't even think this necessarily particularly agrees with the statement that he's making. Let me find out the part of this article, right? Paula Sarge, a professor of political sociology at Bristol University and deputy head of UK and a Change in Europe, said one caveat to the research was the onward polling ended on 22nd of September before Liz Truss became Prime Minister. Truss really damaged the Conservative Party's reputation in economics, which opens up an economic space for Labour that might push some of these social issues out to people's consideration. I mean, that's true. Absolutely correct. If your mortgage is going up, you might be less concerned about social issues. I mean, almost certainly. Right? If you are in a cost of living crisis and you want to be able to feed your kids, I don't think you really cared about pronouns. And you care far more about whether you can actually put that food on the table. Material conditions are always going to be the main driver at these times. He also noted that the questions used by the British Social Attitude Survey to determine levels of social conservatism were based more on crime and policing than on identity politics, and that Labour was already relatively close to the Conservatives on the former. Being authoritarian or liberal is not a binary, Surridge said. I would argue there are quite a few people on the socially conservative scale who are more in the middle and who Labour can appeal to without having to tack very strongly to the right. James Blankton, Onward's head of politics and polling, said, with an election less than 2 years away, no outcome is certain. Keir Starmer has to climb an electoral mountain of 124 seats to reach number 10 despite its polling lead. Blah, 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 blah. Seen as weak and incompetent. But this is the polling person from their own think tank saying fixing economic fairness and public services rather than cultural politics. And yet the title... what the think tank is claiming they need to go right on the social issues. That's the opposite of what's being said by the person who's at the think tank, head of politics and polling. It's crazy how literally every single member, like the media class, all these right wingers saying Labour needs to be more right wing to start agreeing with us on all these issues that we clearly know the public perception of, and then it's being taken apart by the person who did the polling in the first place disagreeing with it. But the journalist who actually reports on this stuff reports it incorrectly. I'm losing my mind. I'm literally losing my mind. Keith has to go do some gay bashing live on the lunchtime news before he's right enough for these people. Oh yeah, exactly. There's nothing he could do to change these people's minds. I mean, I shouldn't be as incredulous as I am. Right-wing journalist from right-wing think tank thinks Labour aren't right-wing enough. Shock. Massive shocker. But the fact that this one story from this one poll by this one right-leaning think tank that didn't even take all social issues into account anyway has been spread throughout the media landscape by a bunch of people who know that this man is compromised. They know he's an insider. They know that he's close to the party. They know that the think tank that he works for is already aligned with the Conservative Party and set up by a Conservative ex-MP. They know this kind of stuff. And all of the people who purport to be journalists of integrity are signal boosting this stuff as if it's not propaganda. I've had it. I've had it with this country. I've had it with the journalists in this country. I've had it. Nonsense. Hate it. It's just a revolving door. It's a carousel. People hopping from think tank to news organisation to be a part of someone's campaign team to being an MP to be a member of a party, or they just rotate going round and round and round. And I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it.